Perfect. Well, hello everyone and happy new year. Welcome back. So today we're going to be covering sort of how you can engineer your career in 2023, and we'll do introductions very shortly just so you know exactly who's going to be speaking. And for anyone who's new today, thank you for joining. Just to give a bit of a brief intro, my name is Jess and I work for Showcode. Showcode is a community platform for people who love technology. So if you haven't created your profile already, and we will be explaining a bit more about that throughout the talk, but please do feel free to go onto showcode.io and get your profile set up after the talk, hopefully, not during, because otherwise you'll miss everything. But yeah, it'd be great to obviously have you join our community and get you sort of up and running with all the cool and exciting things that we've got going on throughout this year, which I'll be touching on a little bit later. Just a few sort of not rules, but just a few mentions. If you've got any questions or if you want to sort of add any feedback to the session, please feel free to do so via the chat section or the Q&A. We'll be going through those interactively, and obviously we're happy to come back with any answers that we have. So please do feel free to pop anything in there and I'll be monitoring it throughout the talk. So let's kick off. So engineering your career in 2023. I've got our CEO, Will, with us today. So he's in control of the slide. So if he can just go through to the next slide, and then we'll just kick off with some brief introductions.
There you go.
Perfect. Here we go. So I've already mentioned my name. So I'm Jess, and sales lead here at Showcode. I look after all of the sales, account management, and many other things in the business. But I will leave most of the introductions to go over to Will, our co-founder and CEO. So Will, if you can just give yourself a bit of an introduction, and I'll hand over the reins to you as well.
Oh, the pressure. Thank you, Jess. Yes, hello everybody out there. As Jess said, my name is Will. I'm the co-founder CEO of Showcode. Really excited to do this talk today. I think this is my first, this is my debut with Jess doing this, so it's super exciting. Just to give a background of my career and why I'm here today, because we're here to give you some tips, some advice for those who are starting out in tech, but also for those of you who are already in it. So previous to Showcode, I spent the best part of almost 15 years working in the world of technical recruitment. I built up a boutique agency specialized in software developers. And that was pretty much my whole professional career coming out of university. So a lot of the reasons why Showcode exists today is from the frustrations, the pitfalls that I learned from the world of tech recruitment that sits within the developer world. And at Showcode, we're hoping to solve a lot of those problems. So today is really to go over some tips, some advice, as I said. So let's kick it off. First and foremost, standing out as an individual. If you're just done a boot camp, or you're just coming out of university, you're coming out into this crazy world of technology and software development, and it's a really hard place of where to start and what do you need to really stand out, because it is a very, very competitive industry. Yes, there are lots of jobs and there's lots of companies, but there's also a lot of developers. I think the last sort of figures were close to about 30 million worldwide. So it's really important to pay attention to these tools and how you stand out. The first is LinkedIn. I think most of you know what LinkedIn is. We should do. And LinkedIn sometimes get a bit of a bad press, that maybe it's not the best tool for software developers or how to market yourself, but it's still the number one tool that companies use to recruit. And at some part of that process, someone within that company will look at your LinkedIn profile, whether that's the recruiter from the very start, or if that is the hiring manager or someone in that team. So it's really, really important that your LinkedIn is up to date. Keep it relevant as well. I think sometimes I see a lot of LinkedIn profiles where there's a whole list and so much information that is really going to turn off the person who's viewing that. So really pay always remember who's looking at this. What is my LinkedIn for? And in most cases, it is ultimately to get hired, to represent yourself in the best way possible. So use it for that purpose. Next point, keep it pro. Again, I sometimes see LinkedIn profiles that just don't look, that they're maybe more suited to another social platform. So, and that comes down to the photo you're using. Is it appropriate? Is it a professional? It doesn't have to be a professional shot, but something that is friendly. It shows that it shows a bit of your personality, but the key thing is that you're keeping it pro. And the last point of LinkedIn is it's going to be the tool where a lot of recruiters are going to reach out to you. So that's really important to remember. And when they do reach out to you, be nice. Again, recruiters get a lot of bad rep when it comes to LinkedIn and the world of software developers. And I get it. There's a lot of them out there. But it's also, you have to remember that the recruiters, when I say recruiters, I'm talking more the agency recruiters and this side. It's really important to probably build a relationship with, say, 4 to 5 of them, because they're going to stay with you for your career and they're going to do a lot of the hard work for you. So when it comes to understanding, if you're looking for your first role, or you're looking for your second role or third role, they're the ones that you can utilize in that relationship with to go and find which companies are looking to make some hires, which companies are good at the moment, who are making some moves in the industry. They'll also be able to keep you up to date with new frameworks that are coming into play, languages that you should be looking at. So make sure that you utilize that function. So if you are being contacted by recruiters, be nice and say, make sure you're connecting with at least 3, 4, 5 of those and stay connected with them, because at some point, I guarantee you will need them. Now, I'm going to give you a quick example of a good LinkedIn profile here, just so you can see as a bit of a guide, really, of what you should be looking to achieve. Now, this is Holly Boothroyd, very good friend of myself and part of the Show Code family. If you scroll down, she's obviously kept her top profile very clean, singles out what exactly she does. Obviously works for Microsoft. She's got a little bit about herself, that she's an advocate, developer, founder of Her Hello World, which is her own blog site. A little summary about herself. See some of her featured articles, and if you scroll down, you can see some of the key things that she's done. Obviously, she's worked for Microsoft for almost 5 years now, so there's not a huge amount of work experience. But what she's also done is utilize that to put down some of her experiences outside of her vocation. So some of whether that's the work she's done at the university, the work she's done on her own projects, but she's got that all within her LinkedIn profile. So that's first one, LinkedIn. Next one, GitHub. This is probably your most go-to useful application as a developer. Whatever your setup is in your working environment, whether tools they're utilizing, but for you as an individual, your GitHub is where you'll store your public repos, that when you go through those hiring processes or applications, at some point, in the same way the recruitment team, the hirers or the developers in those teams will look at your LinkedIn profile, they may ask to see your GitHub, or they may even go and search it for themselves. So again, coming back what I said about LinkedIn, keep it up to date is the key thing. Make sure that you've got public repos on there. Time and time again, what you do see with a lot of people's GitHubs is it's just private repos, so no one can see actually your work. Now, obviously, I get it. There's things there that you want to keep away from prying eyes, and obviously keep it private for that very reason. However, you do want some public repos on there, and whether that's some open source projects, whether that's some collaborative things you've built at university, whether that's things you've done in hackathons, etc. So make sure that anything you've done in the past that you're happy to be shared with the world and people to see it, make sure it is public. Again, what I want to show you is a really, really good GitHub profile. Now, this is Eddie Jowd. For those of you who don't know who Eddie is, I really seriously recommend to follow him, join his community. He does so much for the community as a whole. He's a big, big advocate of open source. And he's also a really, really nice bloke that will always be willing to help anybody. So really, really recommend of following him and joining him. But as you can see here, he's basically, made his GitHub the absolute best it could possibly be, utilized every application that sits under the hood, and really made it his own and personalized it as well to himself. Obviously, you can see his GitHub board there, which is super, super busy, as you'd expect of being such a hardcore open source advocate and contributor. But that's a really good one to follow, and certainly one to aspire to looking like. So third point is portfolio. This probably is more relevant for those of you who are seeking to venturing into the world of front-end development, web development. Portfolio is your opportunity to really showcase your best work, to show what you're about, show your personality, show off, show your best skills. So it's an opportunity to be super, super bold, super, super creative, innovative, and show what you're capable of doing. What makes a really, really good portfolio is that the person who's viewing that won't then have to go and look at other examples of your work. This should be the best example of your work. So when you're building that out, really pay attention to that. And I know that's difficult, and it'll probably take months, if not years, to build a really, really good portfolio. But something you should definitely aspire to do, and don't just look at your portfolio as being, I'm going to use a Wix template and just showcase my best work there, and there'll be some links. Look at it in a different way. Utilize it. If I was to build this website, how would I do it? What's the best way of utilizing that? And I've got a couple of really, really good examples here of how to do that. And I'm going to start off with Hannah Blair. I'm going to refresh this so you can see this. So let this just settle in. You don't get the iconic music there, but for those of you who do know, you know. What I love about this portfolio is that it's full of nostalgia, and being, showing off my age here, but being an 80s kid, and in 1995 would have been 14 years old. So this would have been sat there in my computer lab at school and was always on the computers and Windows 95, either playing Solitaire or on WordArt. But it's just full of nostalgia, and it's just a really, really cool, innovative way to take something old and to make it new and to show off her best work. And if you go through, it's got the iconic start bar, so you can click on here. Obviously, I mentioned there, you obviously Solitaire, which we used to play, but obviously there actually is a game of Solitaire here. She's put into her talks and awards, and it's displayed there. Go back up to the start here. We've got her projects, and they're displayed there. But it's just super, super cool, and it's memorable. I think the key thing here is that if you're going to make a really good portfolio, make sure that the person who looks at it remembers it, that they will go, I saw an awesome portfolio today. They took Windows 95 and made it theirs. That's going to stand out. So yeah, that is a really, really cool one. It's taking something that already exists and just switching it up and making it really cool and really relevant, and made it her own. So yeah, that is a really, really good example. Second one is here, which is Sam Larson Disney. Again, Sam is a very part of the Shoko family. For those who've been to our hacks, he is the wise old owl of hackathons, serial winner, full of tips and advice. But yeah, he's got a really, really cool portfolio that really showcases him as well and his personality. And if you know Sam, that literally is a spitting image of him in the cartoon world. There he is there on stage. He's plug out to Sam. He's written a really, really good book about the Hackathon Survival Guide. So for those of you who are serial hackers or looking to start to participate in hackathons, I seriously recommend buying a copy of his book. But going through, as I mentioned, it really breaks down his best work. And what I said before about utilizing it to showcase your best possible work, that's what he's done here. So it looks like a website that effectively you'd want your company to look like. He's got all the resources up here, case studies, one-day builds, larger projects. So one-day builds here. You have different bits and pieces here from his hackathons. Dominate Codes. This was actually a hackathon that he built, one of our hackathons, which was Level Up. And he was a winner. So that's really, really cool to see there. And there is a bit in here I saw earlier where you can actually change some of the settings. Where did I see that? Just so I can bring this up. Yeah, custom theme. So in here, you can go in here. He's got the toggle to go to light to dark mode. For those who know me, I love dark mode. But then you also can mess around here with the colors, the aspects. So yeah, again, he's really showing off what he's capable of doing. So if I'm an employer and I've gone to look at this portfolio, this is definitely again going to catch my eye, and certainly going to make a decision for myself to go and speak to this person, bring them into an interview. So yeah, really two really great portfolios there, and two to certainly go and look at and to use as some inspiration. Last part of that is a show code profile. Jess is going to show what that looks like at the end of this talk. We are doing some huge changes to profiles over the next coming months. So for those of you who are already on the platform, for those who haven't yet, please come and join, sign up. We're going to make some big changes for profiles in the future. So keep an eye on that, as well as our code projects, which we'll talk about more. Right. Next stage is the power of profiles. Now, I want to give a bit of a case study here, an example of what makes a really good profile and how it can essentially get you hired, get you a job. Obviously we are constantly hiring, or certainly sometimes there's urgent hires or requirements that we need. On this particular occasion, we needed a contractor to help us with some front-end work before we'd even release show code. So we had to resort to get a contractor on, do that. We utilized LinkedIn to put an effort out there. And just to give you a bit of insight of obviously how competitive the industry can be, we've got 369 applications within a couple of days that we posted this particular vacancy. Now, obviously, getting that level of applications, it makes things really difficult. All the time in the world, we can't speak to everybody who applies. Now, for the person who did come on board, what this person did next, obviously they made the application, but they then followed it up with a LinkedIn message and an email to myself, where they put a bit of a subject into the body of the email, was focusing on their strengths, focusing on why they want to come and work for us and what they've been up to. And also they attached their GitHub profile. So when I clicked the GitHub profile, that was absolutely full of different projects. It was fully up to date, and it gave us a real insight of what their capabilities were. So that put that person right to the top of the queue. What we also did then is obviously we sent an email to all those other 369 applicants and said, look, we've been inundated with applications. We all love to speak to you all, but obviously that is impossible. So please take this opportunity to either send us your up-to-date GitHub profile so we can review your work and look at your best parts. If that isn't up to date and you don't have as many projects there you'd like to, please go and do this take-home project. We got about 20 applications back off the bat of that. So from 369, it went down to 20, which probably goes to show how many people are just making applications and clicking away. And then as soon as it came to the whole aspect of some level of technical review or a test, obviously there was a huge drop off there. The person who I singled out right from the very start there, who sent the message, was the person we actually ended up making the hire with. And that wasn't anything to do with the fact they were first there. That obviously helped and put them obviously at the front of mind. However, the work that they presented to us and the way they approached and obviously what they had to offer came through to make that hire. But what I'm trying to say here is that how important it is obviously to have an up-to-date GitHub profile, but also follow up an application. When you make that application, you press that click, don't just wait to get a response. Follow it up. Show that you're keen. Show that you really want this job. And I know that's difficult when you're making lots of applications. You probably have to pick and choose which ones they are. But if there's a job that really stands out to you, don't wait for them. Make it. make it happen by follow up and sending those applications and those follow up emails. It's really, really, really important. Second part, or third part, technical assessments. Now, for those of you who haven't done a technical assessment yet, who are maybe just coming to the end of their boot camp, or those who have done technical assessments, it's a really, really important part of the recruitment process, and one that can be incredibly frustrating as a coder, as a programmer, because once you've made 1, 2, 3, 4 applications, you're probably looking at the same amount of different tests you're having to do. 5 applications, 5 possible tests. So, and this is a big thing that Showcode is looking to change here, which we'll cover later. If you all make an application, the most likely is you're going to get asked to do a code challenge. Now, this will come in the form of a whole host of different vendors, from the likes of HackerRank, Codility, our own platform, Showtech, Codabyte, and pretty much they're asking you to do the same thing, which is, here's a problem, go and solve it in the form of an algo code challenge, pick a language, you write your solution, and that's going to be marked against a series of unit tests. A lot of people don't like this form of technical assessment because they don't believe it represents what you do on a day-to-day basis. And they're right, it isn't. However, what it is a problem-solving exercise. It's asking you to use code to find a solution to this problem. So it's not just, yes, we know this isn't what you do on a day-to-day basis when you're working in the realm of the software developer, but it is pushing your problem-solving skills. So there's an art to these. So what I would suggest doing is, if you haven't done one yet, the likelihood is you will be asked to do one very soon. LeetCode is a really, really good place to go and practice, as well as Showcode. But I'm biased here and say LeetCode have got hundreds, if not thousands, of challenges there to go and mess around with. So it's a really, really good place to go and practice. And just so you can see what we see the other side, I'm going to give you a little snippet here. So once you've done one of these challenges, we then get sent, or the client in hand gets sent a copy of that transcript. So as I mentioned here is the challenge. So here is the problem, and obviously looking to write a solution there against that. Here's what it's looking to mark against. So in most cases, in most platforms, they will have public tests as well as private tests. In most cases, if you don't get the public test right, you automatically get a 0%. But in a lot of cases, the public ones will give you, if you get the first 2 public right, will give you about 20-30%, and the private ones will then the rest of the scoring. So what we can do then is we can play this back. So if I pump this up to 10%, you can see what we see, what client sees, is that they'll see us spend a bit of time away. It's currently set to be solved in C, but let's see if this particular person changes their language. Sorry for the dramatic pause here, or the dramatic suspense of waiting to see if this particular candidate changes their language. Maybe they're not. Maybe they are literally going to be doing this in C. So no, they've switched to Python. So at some point they switched to Python, obviously once they got a bit familiar with the IDE and the settings. And you can see they're writing certain tests. These little indicators down here, we've got copy and paste, so we can detect when someone's put paste into the platform. Now, you could copy that from the ID itself. So maybe something that was on row 4 or row 5 that then paste that into row 8 or 9, which is fine. But what we're looking for, and what the company be looking for, is have you pasted out of the IDE. You also got there, so all the red circles is when you get a failed when the compile fails, and obviously what you're looking for is these magic greens down here, the back here. So yeah, so this is what we're seeing, and this will continue to go through. Now, what this gives as the company that coordinate this test is a real insight to how they approach They can see if they get something wrong, how they then change that. So it's actually not just looking about can they write a finished solution, but can they actually make a couple of mistakes, it fails, then how can they correct that? And that's really, really important, because companies aren't looking for someone who can, always get 100%, or in their first attempt always find a winning solution. Or it's equally probably more important that someone fails first, because then it's like, oh, how have they corrected that? How have they gone and found a solution? Of how have they gone to fix that? So that's really, really important. But I hope that gives you a bit of insight of obviously what we see, and of obviously what companies will see when they ask you to do one of these code challenges. Second to that is code projects. Now, if you speak to anyone, I know that this is the most favored task to do in an interview process. The issue is it's the most time consuming. Most companies will say, oh, can you do this code project for us? And it may take 2 to 3 hours. It could take 10 hours. It could take 15 hours, because most programmers, developers are perfectionists, and that is the biggest problem that we sometimes face, is that the company go, oh, it'll take you a couple of hours, but actually it never takes a couple of hours. It takes more than that. Now, this is one thing that we are really pushing with Showcode, and we are going to be bringing out our GPA code projects at some point this year, which are code projects that will be industry standard, that will be language specific by language, so whether it be a Java or a .NET or JavaScript, etc. But once you've completed that code project, you can share that with every company on the platform. So it doubles up as an application and a test all rolled into one, saving you a huge amount of time that you only have to do one code project. And also for the company in question, is that they're getting obviously more diverse applications, and a much more cleaner process. They're not having to then do the technical assessment. And the most important thing about Showcode, it is yours. Okay, once you do these code projects, you will own the IP. It will be yours to do with however you see fit. You can share that on platform as well as off platform. So again, if you're not on Showcode, please join, because you'll be kept up to date with code projects, and when they'll be released, or we'll be looking for more beta testers, you will be notified. But yeah, it's a really, really exciting feature that we're going to be launching very, very soon. Last part of that is live code pairs. Really, really important part of the process. For any company that can jump straight into a live code pair, fantastic, because I think for you as a technology coder, doing a live session with a programmer at that company, it shows that you're valued. It shows that your time is being respected. The unfortunate thing is a company can't do that with every application. They have to wait further down the line. So unfortunately, these two first aspects, whether a code challenge or a code project, do have to come first. In an ideal world, I'd love to jump to a live code pair session straight away, but unfortunately, that isn't possible. But as I mentioned there, with what we're bringing with Showcode in the future, with the GPA code projects, we hope that will certainly get to that process a lot quicker. Right, next part, I want to touch on communities. Join as many communities as possible, whether that's technology focused or geographically focused or industry focused. Be part of it, contribute. It's where you'll meet people. It's where you'll meet potential employers. You'll meet potential new friends, etc. Whether you're looking to go to a hackathon, you might meet your team there. So really, really join as many as you can. Do as much open source as possible. I always hear a lot of people new to the industry a little bit scared of doing open source. Don't. Get involved. Have a play. If you're feeling a little bit unknown where to go back to Eddie, who I showed at the start. Go and speak to him. He would love to hear from you when you get involved in open source. So yeah, please, please, please use that. Equally, James McLeod, who's the organizer for London.js, he's also the Finos community manager. Now, Finos is the open source for the whole world, for the fintech world. So yeah, equally reach out to him. And that is probably where I'll come to an end. I've probably gone a little bit there, Jess. So I will pass to you, but I hope that was helpful to you out there. If any of you have got any questions, need any advice, please reach out to us. Reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. I don't mind. And and good luck to you all at whatever stage you are in your careers so far. Thank you very much.
Perfect. No, thank you for that, Will. Definitely some really, really good tips there. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to post them. I'm just going to go through a few bits that Will has alluded to just regarding our platform and what we've got coming up in 2023. I'll also share a link to some interview tips that one of our lovely partners did for us a few months ago. There's some really great tips in there and what to expect when working with recruiters and so on. But thanks Tony for joining. Sorry, if you want to watch the last few bits, it'll be on our YouTube channel shortly. We'll upload. But just to kick off, so creating your profile, we've touched on that already, the importance of profiles and so on. This is what a Showcode profile looks like. You can keep it very targeted towards yourself as a developer or another field within technology. You can have your tech stack loaded up here, the interests that you have, and really start fleshing it out and bringing everything together. So you can have your GitHub repos, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, and so on, all connected in one place. And these profiles you can choose to share with various employers as well. So when you sign up to Showcode, there'll be various prompts in terms of which brands do you want to connect with, and they'll be able to view these profiles and reach out to you regarding possible opportunities. So definitely, if you've not done it already, it is slightly hidden possibly by our faces, but I should have moved it to the left-hand side. But showcode.io is where you can go to create your profile and also stay up to date with all the various events and so on that we are running. So that is create your profiles. Next slide, please, Will. Join community. So again, this is leaning back on what Will's already said. So we have two core communities at the moment within Showcode. So we've got Varsity Code, which is specifically for students. So if you're sitting within that early careers bubble, or you're a student that's maybe looking at getting a role within technology, please join that community. We've got lots of different challenges going on all the time. We are going to be doing, got more workshops and stuff loaded for this year. And obviously there's a great Discord community you can join as well, so you can engage with other like-minded individuals who are also at the very beginning of their careers. Our other one is Athena, which is specifically for women and non-binaries in tech. So if you are relevant to that community, it's a really, really empowering place to be. We run 2 hackathons each year as well, which has actually become Europe's largest hackathon for women and non-binary. So definitely join that one if it's relevant to yourself, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you at some of the events there. However, likewise, we are adding communities to our platform. So we've recently just onboarded Coding Black Females. So if you are sitting there and you're a part of a community already, but maybe you don't really have a home, it's maybe done on WhatsApp or something like that, there's not really a lot of structure to it, there's so much power in terms of getting your community onboarded into Showcode, because then you can have all of your events there, various different things going on throughout the community, so you can all stay really engaged with each other, and just makes it a lot more sort of targeted and easier for you to be able to grow that community and keep getting new members coming on board as well. So that's a little bit on communities this year. So this is what we got coming up. And this is not to exhaust it. This is obviously what we're planning. We have got lots of things happening all of the time. And as we speak with more partners or more companies, we will add more events to this. But currently, events are so important for networking, upskilling. Now, I work in sales, but I have always found that networking has really helped me to connect with new people, learn about different ways of doing things. And it's exactly the same in every single industry. So whether you work in tech, or you work in sales, or marketing, whatever it may be, events are so crucial in terms of building your confidence and developing skills, whether they be soft skills or hard skills. They're really, really good. So this year we have got a variation of events. We are going to be loading some meetups on. These aren't on this particular timeline, but please sign up to showcode.io, as I've already said, to get up to date with all of the various events we got coming up. So the meetups will be company focused normally. So we had one back in December with HSBC, where they had it at their Canary Wharf offices. Really, really great evening, learning about their graduate programs. And then we got another one coming up in March with them for Sheffield. So if you are based around that way, please keep an eye out for when registration goes live for that. And we will be adding more meetups to the Showcode platform very, very soon. Then in terms of big events, so we are becoming very well known for our large scale hackathons that we like to run. So Athena Hack, as I've mentioned already, we've got one happening in April, so the weekend of the 22nd. If you are around and not running in the London Marathon that weekend, do feel free to come along, as long as it's obviously relevant to you. It is also going to coincide with Girls in ICT Day, which is really, really awesome that we can obviously collaborate with such a cool day within the year, and see lots of our current Athena community welcome them back, and always see new people come to the event as well. So if you've never been to a hackathon before, this is a really great one as sort of like a stepping stone to get you familiar with what's involved. There's always lots of food and coffee, so even if you don't know what's going on half the time, don't worry, there will be other people there in exactly the same boat, and just make the use of all of the catering we put on for it. Then in June, we've got the first of a new event for 2023, which is Showcode Live. Now, this is going to be slightly different. It's not going to really be a hackathon as per se, but there will be opportunities for you to test out your tech skills. It's going to be a 2-day immersive event. This one's going to be in Manchester in June, where we're going to have various coding battles going on. We'll have company partners launching sort of mini hacks and projects that you can have a go at. There'll be various industry talks going on as well. And plus, obviously, the food and the coffee. That is one thing that we will always have at all of our events, lots of food and lots of coffee. So if you are located in the Manchester area, or maybe you just fancy a weekend up in Manchester, we will be launching more details regarding that very, very soon. So please do keep your eyes peeled. It's open to everyone with Showcode Live. So whether you're a complete beginner, you're a bit more experienced, whoever you are, you're more than welcome to come along and connect with the various partners that we'll have there, and make use of all of the hospitality. Then over the summer, we're always a little bit quiet over summer just because everyone's on their school breaks and so on. But kicking back in September, we will have another hackathon for our Athena community. So this is just to align with obviously just for students go back to university and so on. So this will be our last one of the year for Athena, outside of obviously the meetups and everything else. That's the weekend of September the 30th. And then in October, as campus season starts, we will be kicking off our Varsity Code 23-24 season. So as I mentioned earlier, Varsity Code is for students. So if you are sort of looking to test out your skills, you can do so currently. We have got challenges live for that, but we will obviously be kickstarting and doing a big kickoff for our new campus season in October. So definitely keep an eye out for that if you are relevant to that community. And then to finish the year before we go on the December festivities, it seems a bit weird talking about Christmas again, we've only just got past it, but November we will have Showcode Live in London. So if London is an easier location for you to get to, we will be kicking that off having that in November. Again, exactly the same sort of structure as the one I just explained for Manchester. So definitely keep an eye out for that if you are keen to practice your skills, have a bit of fun, and meet like-minded individuals. So there we go. Any questions, do feel free to reach out to any of us here at Showcode, though. We'd be more than happy to help you. I know we have slightly overrun, so I will let you guys all go. But thank you so much for watching. And if you do have any questions, we'll stay on a couple of minutes to answer anything that you may have. Thank you. Seems fairly quiet, so I'm going to say no, there isn't any questions. So perfect. So Will, if you want to say goodbye, and then anyone that needs to reach out to us regarding anything, as I say, just connect with us on LinkedIn and so on, and we're more than happy to help you.
Yeah, thank you everybody, and yeah, best of luck with 2023.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye.